Are you ready to conquer the MCAT and secure your future in medicine? Look no further than Med School Coach. With our unparalleled expertise and cutting-edge resources, you'll tackle the MCAT with confidence. Our practice exams, crafted by the world's leading MCAT experts, provide the most realistic simulation available. Discover your strengths and weaknesses with in-depth analytics and detailed explanations for every question. Plus, with options like our free half-length exam and affordable bundles, mastering the MCAT has never been easier or more accessible. Don't just prepare for the MCAT, excel with Med School Coach.
I don't charge for medical students or residents because I interact with them all the time, but other women physicians who are already attendings, and I help them to figure out their next step where they want to go in their careers. Some of them wants to pursue side business. Some of them wants to start their own private practice, or there's different types of a private practice or some other businesses. That's what I do for other physicians.
Welcome to the Prospective Doctor podcast, brought to you by Med School Coach. Join us weekly for stories and insights to empower pre-med and medical students to pursue their aspirations of becoming doctors. Hear from physicians, deans, advisors, and industry experts on becoming a standout candidate and what life is truly like in the medical field. Let passion ignite your journey toward residency and becoming a doctor.
Being a medical student isn't for the faint of heart. We know that it's not easy. You have to juggle so many things. But imagine having to navigate everything that you're doing while also being a wife, a mother, and a musician. It's not for the faint of heart. So we know that heart is exactly what Dr. Sujin Lee, our guest today, exudes. Dr. Lee is a remarkable neuro rehab physician who started her career in music, which has been able to offer her a variety of experiences that have contributed to her being a better doctor. Beyond clinical work, she's actively involved in research and education and mentorship, all the things. She's even expanded her reach to consulting and coaching. She advises medical students on the importance of perseverance, resourcefulness, and finding mentorship on their journey to medicine. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. I found myself incredibly moved by Dr. Lee's tenacity and her dedication to service, not only to her clinical practice, but also in her extensive work with dedicating herself to people like you, pre-meds, medical students, and residents. Her journey is a powerful testament to the idea that it's never too late to pursue your passion, and the road to medicine does not have to be linear. What inspired you to transition from music to medicine?
I had a chance to revisit what my true passion and interest and what I would like to pursue. And the medicine was,
it was back of my head on and off throughout my education, early childhood and high schools and college, but I just didn't know what that was. And after having my kids, I'm a little bit more mature, kind of think about the life a little bit more holistically. And I realized we only live once. And what do I want to do with our one precious life? And I figured that I want to try medicine. So I decided to go to medical school at the time. It was a little bit kind of a crazy idea because, medical school is tough, and doing this as an older age but with the 2 children. But I think I was determined and motivated enough to go through. I'm not going to say it's more difficult than other people because I really believe everybody has our own challenges. It just happens to be, for my case, me being an older student and being a mom was the challenge. I understand everybody has their own challenges. So I just choose to face the challenges in my own way.
I love that. And it's always okay. I say a lot on the podcast, medicine and life isn't linear. So you can think you're going down one path and go right down another. I think a lot of people who are in medicine love to kind of check boxes and go through the list, but life doesn't work that way. And that's the fun part. A lot of students tend to believe that we have to be a science major or do pre-med in order to go into med school. Do you think that having a non-science background helped you in any kind of way?
I think so, because I am actually admission committee, not for the medical school, but the residency program. I interview medical students who comes to our residency program. When we see all the same story, it really doesn't stand out. But when you have a different story in your life, it catches the people's eye. And if you can make your life being meaningful, very well captured story, and you can present that in your personal statement, it can be actually stand out as a very interesting applicant. And also having different experience in different areas of studies or experience definitely gives you more life experience, which is very important for a good physician, having different perspective, and you can understand where your patients are coming. And also it helps you to understand yourself better. And that will definitely make medical education training a little bit easier. I believe medical education is not just about the learning all the, the pharmacies, medications, anatomies. On top of that, I think it's about more discovering your own passion and your talent and next level so that you can use those very highly trained skills to serve other people. If you know yourself more, if you have experience in outside of medicine, you can actually relate with your patients much better. That will help you to become a better version of a physician that you will be.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, there are so many different parts that you can pull from your life to help you kind of meet your ultimate goal, which is hopefully to serve people. And you can do that in so many different ways. And I think that kind of rings true for you because, like you said, you are an PM&R physician and you help kind of choose the next generation of PM&R for during the interview process and all of those kinds of things. And you're a mom and all the things. But you also practice medicine part-time. Can you share any other things that you're pursuing?
During the medical school, I had a strong interest in research, either clinical research or working in the lab. So I continued some part of it during my residency program. And residency is very rigorous. And during the training, I realized I want to do non-clinical work related to the patient care or medicine, something that is based on the foundation of a medical knowledge I wanted to do. So I did some research during my residency program. And I did a clinical fellowship. After that, I wanted to stay in academia. So I decided to do some more research. So I did a clinical research. By the time I finished my clinical research fellowship, I looked for an opportunity combination of a clinical practice with some type of research. And also, I'm very interested in educating future generations. So I looked for a position that comes with a teaching and some of the administration or program directorship role. So when I finished all the training, I happened to work in a private hospital. It has affiliation with the university, and it came with about 50% of a clinical work and then combined with some research for a medical device company. It was more of a consultant role. And also I started working with the residents and got involved with the assistant program director role. So in the beginning, I would say maybe I did about 60% of a clinical role, work and 40% of the non-clinical but medicine-related work. So I did that for maybe 4 or 5 years. It was during the pandemic, throughout the pandemic. I worked pretty hard to, transitioning of the telemedicine remote work during COVID. Also make sure that our trainees and medical students and patients, everybody is safe. So I got involved quite a bit of the administration part of the work. And towards the end of a pandemic and towards the transitioning outside of it, and I realized that there's some more opportunities outside of the medicine. And that time was about 5-6 years out of the clinical practice. So, when you become an attending, if you practice for about 5 to 6 years, you are considered as an expert in that area. Because my clinical interest and expertise is a very narrow subspecialty, spinal cord injury. Some of the attorneys found my name for somehow and then asked me to review some of their legal cases that's how I started doing some medical legal work. And that practice grew quite a bit past 3 years. So I do that maybe 10% of my work. And also I had some interest in some of the telemedicine, and I got into coaching because mentorship and teaching residents and also helping them to decide what career path they want to take. And there are many challenges during training, medical school, and residency. And as an young attending, it could be very daunting because after you finish training, there's no map. Nobody tells you what to do. Yeah, you just kind of work for a hospital and then that's about it. And then you kind of feel like, okay, there must be something outside of medicine. And also many young physicians, especially female physicians, they get married and have children. So there's a family, and then the priority completely changes. Before we have all this personal life during medical education, the medicine is the only thing we pay attention, or we were trained to focus on medicine, taking care of the patients. But when you actually be an attending, and then when you kind of started living your life, there's more than just medicine. There's a life. There's a family outside of medicine, and there's your own children, or you get to take care of your parents when they age. So there's other responsibilities or other identities that we kind of realize that we are not just physicians. We have other roles.
Ready to conquer the MCAT on the move? Introducing MCAT Go by Med School Coach. With 450 science chapters and over 1,000 questions, study efficiently and effectively on your schedule. Make every minute count with MCAT Go. Study while you exercise, commute, or wait in the lab. Elevate your MCAT prep with MCAT Go by Med School Coach.
So I have seen, myself went through those transition, and I had to kind of decide what role is important to me, and also what other interest and passion that I would like to pursue regardless of the clinical practice. And I have seen many other physicians going through the similar transition, and I wanted to help those people. I guess it all comes from my mission of serving others. Many physicians, their drive is serving people who are sick or helping them. That's our biggest motivation. We kind of born with those kind of a passion and service mindset. And I think that helped me to become a certified coach, life coach. And I started coaching other physicians to figuring out those career transitions. And I use those skills to medical students when they decide to, their specialty, or I can actually help them to interview skills, because a lot of people show up very nervous and they are very anxious and they feel like they're being judged. But if you show up those kind of a mindset, it's going to be difficult to show your best characters and qualities during interviews, even writing personal statement or even taking exam. If you show up with a lot of positivity, then outcome can be significantly different. So I coach those skills through the coaching. I help those kind of skills. I don't charge for medical students or residents because I interact with them all the time, but other women physicians who are already attendings, and I help them to figure out their next step, where they want to go in their careers. Some of them wants to pursue side business. Some of them wants to start their own private practice, or there's different types of a private practice or some other businesses. That's what I do for other physicians.
I love that. And I just want to highlight a few things that you said. Number one, there is so much life outside of medicine. I know the students and the residents can kind of have their head down because your life is kind of not necessarily your own when you're in training, and you have to be where people want you to be and study all the time. But while you're there, you should make time for yourself and self-care and figure out your schedule. But when you do become an attending, there is more opportunity to figure out what you want to do, whether or not that's in medicine or in life, or a mixture of both. Then you can actually define your own trajectory. As you mentioned, like you're doing coaching, you were a consultant, you were working for like medical expert witness and doing academics. So there are so many different things that you can kind of create and chart your own territory. So I just absolutely love that, because I think that a lot of times people may, number one, feel like, oh my goodness, it's the end in sight, or You may think like, I know when I became a physician, I thought I would work in underserved community health centers for 30 years. And there are some people that do that, and that's wonderful. But I was looking for something else. And some of my colleagues, they've gotten like their 5 or 10-year itch, like, okay, I like this or I don't like this. What's next? So there's always hope for that thing. So I just love that you are talking about it and bringing it to the forefront. As we come to the close of our interview, I want to ask you a question that I love asking most of my guests because I get so many different answers. And I would definitely love to hear your perspective since you grew up outside of the U.S. So if you had a magic wand, what is the one thing you would change about the American healthcare system? You know, because we're so perfect.
That's like a maybe $1 trillion question, not even $1 million question. I'm not even sure where to start. One thing that I want to say is I want the American healthcare system focused on patients and physicians and other providers. Medical students may not know, but many attendings may learn. Residents even don't know how the pay system works. We're very heavily rely on insurance authorization. Some of the care we'd like to provide, it's there, but we can't really access because of the many other restrictions and requirements and pre-authorizations. I feel that really doesn't serve our patients or our physicians and other providers because we can spend those times to arguing, going back and forth. This is the needed care for my patient versus this is my decision. We have to sometimes get denied for certain care, or we have to request the pre-authorization to see the patient again in my clinic. It's more common in outpatient setting. I believe inpatient setting is a little bit different, but a lot of the entire healthcare system actually depending on those system needs authorization by third party, not the patients, not the physicians, the insurance company. They have a lot of things to say, decide who's going to get the care and who's going to get what kind of a care. That is very different from other healthcare system outside of the United States. 2 days ago, I was having conversation with my friend who is a Canadian doctor. So I kind of explained how our healthcare care system works. And he kind of really couldn't understand what's going on. So if I can change one thing, then I would like to have that autonomy that physicians can decide what kind of care our patients need and what kind of care they need to get without explaining extensively to a third party. I think that may actually help the access issues and a lot of actually cost reduction because there's a lot of administration fees involved in healthcare system. So I would say probably that's one thing that I would like to, if I have a magic wand, that's the change that I want to bring it in.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. It's so complicated and complex, but somehow every other industrialized nation, literally every other except for us, has figured out something. Now they're not perfect, nothing is, but I think we can make some movement to get somewhere a little better than where we are.
Yes, I think everyone is working hard, going to the direction. I hope we can have, patients and physicians and providers having a little bit more voice in that decision. I think we're trying, and I think we're making small steps towards the right direction. And it might take some time, but I think we have try to build advocacy for our patients and our physicians and other healthcare providers for sure.
Absolutely. So I definitely appreciate you coming and sharing all of your pearls of wisdom. I want to give you an opportunity to say goodbye to our audience and let our listeners know how they can reach out to you.
I wanted to say, medical students and pre-med students, it is a hard time. I feel nowadays the hardest part of the journey to become a physician is getting into medical school. But one thing that I want to say is if that's the right thing for you, if you have a passion for it, and if you're trying hard, I don't want you to give up. and try to continue looking for right mentorship, looking for right environment, right resources, and also having a right mindset instead of thinking, why am I not getting this correctly? Instead of blaming yourself, just be more objective in terms of how I can do a little bit better. If you need to get a better grade, or you need to do more volunteers, or you need to do more research, then being more creative and more proactive in terms of finding the solutions instead of thinking this is so hard. Maybe I not fit to this career pathway. I don't want you to guys give up because of those kind of thoughts. It is not easy. It is hard, but it is doable. And I want everybody to remember everyone has that skills and talents. You just have to continue to develop until you get into the pathway that you want to go in. So my advice for you is look for the right mentorship and look for the right resources and continue your hard work. Then you will probably get to the destination that you want to go. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I do some, mentorship for medical students and residents. Actually, some pre-med students and medical students and residents. You can find me. My email is my name, Sujin Lee, MD @gmail.com. If anyone is interested in, about starting a business or a side business, if you're already practicing physician, my website is my name, SujinLeeMD.com. You can find what I offer and my contact information over there.
If you like this episode, please share it and make sure to subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also find me, Dr. Erkeda DeRouen, on Instagram at Dr. DGram, DOCTOR, the letter DGRAM, or on LinkedIn under my name, Erkeda DeRouen. See you guys next week.
Each episode of the Prospective Doctor podcast is brought to you by Med School Coach. To access articles, videos, webinars, and free tools to help you succeed on your journey toward med school and beyond, visit our website, prospectivedoctor.com. We hope you tune in again next time.
In the competitive world of medical school, your application is the first look advisors have into what makes you shine. But where do you start? Luckily, Med School Coach has the expertise to elevate your application to the next level. From crafting a compelling personal statement to developing a narrative for your secondary essays, we know what admissions committees are looking for, and we're here to help you develop your authentic voice. Visit medschoolcoach.com for more on application support.